The man took just one look at the milk carton and figured out his escape plan. He unfolded the box and peeled off the wax lining from inside. Then he stuck it over the keypad lock at the door. This way, when the guard entered the password, it would leave fingerprints from 4 keys on the surface. Once he knew which 4 numbers were used, all that was left was cracking the code. But how could he get close enough to touch the keypad? He rolled tissue paper into a ball, squeezed it full of toothpaste, wrapped it in another piece of paper, and worked it into a super sticky ball. Later, during a guard inspection, he secretly stuffed it into the small window's lock mechanism. Even if the guard locked the window, he could easily push it open from inside. But there were still cameras watching. He had to learn the guard's routines first. Every day, he listened carefully to the sounds outside. From the opening and closing of doors, he discovered that at a certain time each day, all the guards would go out together to smoke and chat. The control room would be unmanned for 7 minutes. That was the window he was looking for. Now he just needed to plan his escape route. When he first arrived at the prison, he'd spotted a weak point, the fire station right next to the prison. But only the solitary confinement cells were close enough to it. So he deliberately started trouble, randomly picked a fellow inmate, and beat him badly. Afterward, he was promptly thrown into solitary as punishment. During the guard's smoke break, he opened the keypad lock and found the pipe connecting to the fire station. Once at the fire station, he quickly changed into a firefighter's uniform as a disguise. His teammate deliberately created an explosion in the parking lot next to the prison, drawing out the fire department. Sean hid underneath one of the trucks. With everyone running to fight the fire, nobody would notice him. Sean successfully broke out right under the guards' noses. But he wasn't actually a criminal. He was a prison security tester whose job was to assess prison vulnerabilities. Each time he'd enter a prison with a criminal identity, then identify the security flaws to reduce the chances of real inmates escaping. However, Sean had barely made it back to the office when intelligence agents tracked him down. They said a warden named Neymar wanted him to test his private prison, which housed the worst criminals that the government wouldn't take. But facilities like this often operated outside the law without official approval. The danger was extreme, and there was a real possibility of dying in there. Sean didn't want to agree, but his boss mentioned the client was offering triple the usual fee. Faced with such temptation, he had no choice but to accept. Little did he know this would be the beginning of his nightmare. His teammates set up a new identity for Sean as usual, gave him the extraction code, injected a micro-tracker into his hand, and then he went to the street according to plan to wait for his arrest. But these people were surprisingly brutal. The moment he got in the car, they started scanning his entire body and quickly found the tracker. They cut it out with a knife, then forcibly injected him with sedatives. When he woke up, he was in a cell made entirely of glass. In such an open, transparent environment, inmates had zero privacy. Even using the bathroom was completely visible. There were countless 360-degree cameras with no blind spots that could see every pore on your face. There was absolutely no privacy whatsoever. Even worse, these cells were suspended in midair. Traditional methods like tunneling to escape were completely useless. The number of guards here was several times that of a regular prison. How was Sean going to escape this time? Want to know what happened next? Follow me. I'll be sharing the rest of the story very soon.